7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. With me today is Alicia Piazza from Custom Marketing Solutions and Justin Kerr from Justin Kerr Designs. Before we get started, we'll tell you a little bit about ourselves. My name is Bill Parmentier. I'm the owner of W. Parmentier Photography. I'm a commercial and portrait photographer as well as events and drone photography.
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia Piazza, owner of Custom Marketing Solutions. We are a social media company based here in Providence, Rhode Island. We are just about 3 years old. I think we're approaching our third birthday coming up. I've been in marketing and media for about 10 years, and so involved with the digital marketing side of things, traditional marketing and media. We help business owners who they want to run their business. They want to do their thing. They don't have time to stay up on the trends, and so that's what Custom Marketing Solutions does. We help our clients keep it fresh with social media.
Were you doing a selfie or a video?
I wasn't doing a selfie.
I
I was
don't
taking a
have my
picture of you
selfie
guys.
stick today.
You have a selfie stick?
Yeah, I did. I
Oh.
bought one.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys don't own selfie sticks?
I know.
No, I try to avoid
I
those.
I guess maybe I'm not.
The look
I
on
might
Alicia's
flip on
face
that
like,
one.
what do you
Apparently I'm a
mean no?
minority
No selfie stick. So Justin,
Yes.
tell us a little about you, will you?
Hi, I'm Justin. I own Justin Kerr Design, and I've been a professional designer for about 26 years. Started out in print and then moved over to the web when the web became a thing, and designed for the web for about 16 years. And then decided to go to work for myself. And what I do is I help my clients clarify and strengthen their marketing message through visual design. So that may take place online through a website, it may take place through their branding, or through print design, or all three, depending on who I'm working with. And I am sitting here with two colleagues, excited to talk about marketing and all the stuff that revolves around it.
You going a little bit into why we're doing this.
Okay. Well, to give a little bit of background for anybody who's not familiar with the webinar that we did, we spent the last several months putting together a webinar. We had 2 live broadcasts with, I think, good turnout and good response. And the idea behind that was to sort of pool our expertise in regards to marketing and talk about some of the different aspects of how we could help clients with their marketing through either social media, through optimizing their imagery and video, and then positioning their website. But we were limited in that we had to pack a lot of information into a very small period of time. We 45-minute webinar with 15 minutes of Q&A, and we realized pretty quickly that there was a lot of material that we could mine from just that topic. So we thought, well, why don't we expand it out, take some of the content that we put into the webinar, break it down and expand on it, and do a podcast, since we already had the equipment. And Bill, our technical wizard, who's put together all of the sound and the AV. We've got like 6 million cameras going here in this room.
Yeah. Don't hold that against me, will you?
So, but since we're sort of already on a roll, and since we actually like working together and hanging together, that it just seemed like sort of a natural segue.
Yeah, we like hanging out.
Yeah, we see each other more than we see our own families, so I guess we must like each other for some reason or another.
Right. I feel like the conversation when you get together with professional marketers or someone in your industry, the conversation just flows when we're not recording ourselves, and we have so much to talk about. So we figured the webinar was a great outlet, but like Justin was saying, you can only fit so much into 45 minutes. So we do want to make this into an ongoing series, and we want the conversation, the tips, and the trade secrets that we have to be available to the local businesses that we network with, that we already work with as clients. We want to answer questions for businesses. I think, for me personally, and I think you guys will say the same, we really want to provide value for businesses in terms of their marketing. There's so many options out there, so many things going on in the digital world that businesses may feel overwhelmed. They don't have a whole marketing team on their side. And by the way, our name is the Marketing Essentials team. So we chose that for a reason. We each have different backgrounds, different areas that we specialize in. But when you work with marketing professionals, you will find that, you want to, I guess, I don't know really where I was going with that, but as a team, we kind of complement each other, I guess, overall.
Right. And we felt like, between the three of us we were covering some of the essentials, especially in our, present time. A website is critical to your business. It's your digital presence. Social media is critical to driving traffic, having some guests on future podcasts to fill in some of those gaps, and just to have somebody else, add to the conversation.
Yeah, that's a great segue. So yeah, this podcast is specifically that. We're aiming towards answering questions that people who own businesses who are not savvy with dealing with their online presence, this is a good way for them to be able to learn more about that. And the only way we're going to do that is by getting questions from our viewers. Do you have the web address for
questions?
Questions, yeah. How would, if someone was to
you can call us. Just kidding. We don't have a phone number.
so let's take this back for a second.
Operators are standing by.
Yes.
You didn't
somewhere.
You didn't set up that
No,
phone number, Bill?
I think the best way right now is go to our Facebook page, which is Marketing Essentials Team.
Yeah.
And you can see updates there of what we're doing, and you can also post questions there. And we will, we have to rework the website a little bit, but that'll be another place where you'll be able to submit questions, and we will have an email address that people can use too.
Tweet us, snap us, Facebook us, whatever you need to do, but there will be multiple ways to get in touch with us as we progress through this.
And that actually segues into the next thing is, if you haven't already, Facebook, take a minute, head over to our Facebook page, the Marketing Essentials Team. If you like our page, you'll get the upfront information as to when our podcast is going live, and be able to get all that other information, as well as I think we're going to sneak some tidbits of other information up there that are outside the podcast. So
right.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll as we come across things, published articles and things that relate to what we're talking about, we'll put those up there. We'll have updates on what we're doing as a team. Like you said, we'll let people know when we published podcasts, and they can go listen to those. So any news about our team or anything that's related to what we're talking about, we'll have it up on the Facebook page.
Yeah, maybe even some Facebook Lives when we get brave.
Yeah, maybe. And we, who knows? We may throw up a promotion or two.
Shameless self-promotion.
Of course.
And I think in terms of the questions, one thing I see with business owners is sometimes they'll tell me, like, I get overwhelmed when I'm talking to a marketing person because they use their industry lingo and I get confused, or I feel like I may be being scammed or cheated because they're just telling me all this stuff.
Right.
And I'm not familiar with it. And here's the thing, with the digital marketing age, things have changed so much, from video to photography to websites. I don't think the business owner should be responsible or feel bad for not, knowing exactly what the trends are. I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a cook, and I don't pretend to be. I defer to somebody who knows how to do those things. And I think with marketing, finding trusted local professionals is one of the best ways to go.
I agree. I was meeting with a client the other day and talking to them about their website. And I'm so familiar with the term SEO that I just use it all the time with colleagues and people that are in the business. And when I mentioned it to them, I said, well, you definitely want to consider your SEO. And thankfully, they were brave enough to say, I have no idea what that is. Instead of pretending like they knew what it was and letting me blather on. And so it dawned on me, it's like, yeah, not everybody understands, the industry terms the way I understand them, the way you understand them, Alicia. So I think one of the goals here is to talk in as plain a language as possible about how to get the most out of your digital marketing.
And it really sheds light that no question is a bad question.
No.
I think that there's tremendous pressure on the local business owner to stay up to date on all these trends, and that's just impossible. And I think one of our goals is to help our clients and help local businesses take that, let us do the marketing, or let marketing professionals answer your questions, and you do what you're really great at. So I was speaking to a builder the other day. She does a lot of home remodeling, and we were talking about, the challenges she's up against when she's redoing a house, and she was talking about taking down the stairs, and she started using these industry terms about things under the stairs that hold them up that I don't even know the term right now, guys. I don't know, but
Yeah,
I'm like,
you got me.
what does that mean? What are you talking about? So that's not my industry. She went into her industry lingo, which is fine, but I think, just being able to ask questions and not feel like you're supposed to know everything about digital marketing
Right.
is okay as a business owner right now.
Right.
Sure, and especially given the fact that as a business owner, we wear many hats to begin with. And like you said, there's just no way for the average business owner to try to remember and know how to do every single thing. You just can't do it.
Right.
So let the experts do what the experts can do, so to speak.
And hopefully we'll, be able to, through this podcast, be able to bring some value to marketing. I think a lot of people don't understand the value that marketing can bring to their business. A lot of people are very bottom line minded, which is fine. And I think in some respects, like especially with what Alicia does, you can show data of return on investment. With other areas of marketing, it's a little harder to nail that down. But I think overall, marketing provides great value to helping businesses grow. And I'm hoping that through this podcast we can, get some of that out there and help people understand it.
A lot of people don't even really know truly what marketing is. It's all, I put up a website, there's my marketing, right? Or I have a Facebook page,
Right.
there's my marketing. And
Or
like
it's
you said,
hey, I bought an ad in the Rehoboth Reporter.
yeah,
That's my marketing. It's like, okay, well, that's great, but is that part of an overall strategy?
Yeah.
I've often heard a saying about strategies like start with the end in mind. So like if you want to get to a particular destination, you got to figure out, okay, where are we going, and then building a strategy to get you there. And I think marketing is most valuable when you do have a strategy, and you're not just kind of throwing stuff up against the wall hoping something will stick.
Yeah.
what do you guys see as far as later on down the line, as far as what we're going to be doing in these podcasts? I know we've talked amongst ourselves as far as type of guests we may have on in the future, but why don't you give the audience a little bit of an idea of what we're talking about?
Well, I think the guest is a great point, Bill, because even though we are in marketing, and I understand, that photography and websites are important, SEO, videos, I'm not, as a social media marketer, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a videographer or I'm a PR specialist or a graphic designer. And so in marketing, we defer to specialists too. Mm-hmm. It's just one person, one marketing team now doesn't hold the capabilities to do everything, in my opinion. So that's one reason why we're complementing each other and putting together this podcast. And also the guests, we're going to bring people in who kind of represent their areas of, specialty.
I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here.
I'm almost afraid to ask what you're smiling about.
I was trying to figure out what a codcast is.
Oh, yeah.
But
Podcast?
Yeah.
It's the new form of the podcast.
Yes.
And, yeah.
And we're gonna tratrademark that. So please, nobody use that, because we own that now.
Codcast. Well,
Codcast,
no,
yes.
but here's another thing that as you were talking, Alicia, that
I think.
here's another thing I was thinking about as Alicia was talking was, that's the other strength that we bring, because of the fact that we come from three different areas of marketing, to speak of. When Justin starts going on about something specific to building a brand or a website, one of the other two of us go, hey, wait a minute, I have no idea what you're saying. Can you dumb that down a little bit for the guys like me that don't understand it, and vice versa. So that helps us. That's a strength that helps us to be able to get that out to people.
And I think Alicia mentioned this earlier. We're talking to small to mid-sized business owners. We're not talking to other marketers. I mean, there's lots of excellent marketing experts out there. So we're not saying that we're better than anybody else. But I think the ability to speak directly to small and mid-sized business owners and help them understand the value of marketing, how they can put it to use, in their own business, and what might be a good strategy for them, and just help them sort of fill in the gaps on what they don't know.
Right. Yeah. We go to a lot of networking events. We talk to people on an individual basis. We work with clients on an individual basis, but there's a lot of questions out there. And so the podcast and the videos that we're putting together are a way for us to talk to more businesses on a regular basis and just really be able to answer your questions. And hopefully there's things that you can learn or situations that we can help you with just with advice. No question is a bad question. So that's one of my goals, and I think you guys are on the same page, is to really get interaction from local businesses. In any way we can do that, we're always open to suggestions too. So your questions are absolutely necessary.
And I know we've put together a list of some of the topics. Justin, do you mind sharing just a couple of them? The reason I'm asking you to do that is because maybe somebody out there will say, hey, that's an area that I'm familiar with, or and maybe we'll bring them on and interview them.
Well, some of the topics that we've discussed is, why does a logo cost so much? I get that question a lot.
Yeah.
And the advantage of custom photography versus stock photography. Bill, I know you've talked about that a little bit in our webinar. And also untagged photos, and how much, not having your photos and your videos tagged properly is really hurting your positioning on Google.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was going to say, if you want to explain what tagged means, like people may not even.
There's that industry term again.
Yeah.
Well,
we should like pinch each other when we fall into industry terms.
Yeah. All of a sudden we'll be talking here. Ow!
Maybe an industry jargon jar would be better. You have to put a buck in the jar every time you use an industry term.
That jar might get full.
Yeah.
I think I'd be broke real quick.
I'll put Bitcoin.
But anyway, to answer the question, we did go over it a little bit in the webinar. But basically, a tag is a way for your search engines to basically find a piece of media, whether it be a video or a photograph, or even in Justin's terms, some of the graphics that he deals with, you basically run the same type of tags on those graphics. Am I correct?
Right, yeah. You want to label things appropriately because, like you said, one, it helps Google index your site, because Google goes around and indexes all the content on your site, and it ranks your site based on how good your content is. So if it looks at a picture and the picture is labeled, DSC 1138, that means
you remember that.
That means nothing to Google. But if it says, Riverwalk in San Antonio, Texas, then it can index that photo, and that improves your position on Google. So, and that was one of the things that I remember from the webinar, was you talking about that. And it's important. I think a lot of people just overlook the fact that their images on their website or the social media and the video are pieces of content.
Sure.
And those need to be as optimized as your written content.
And the other important part about that, and which we didn't get a chance to really go too deep into in the webinar, is it's got to be good quality. Whether it's a graphic, whether it's an image, a video, whatever that is, it has to be good quality, because, let's face it, the internet's filled with a lot of garbage photos and a lot of garbage videos, and you want to stand out. The only way you're going to stand out is
more than one potential client say to me, well, I want my website to look like Apple, or I want my website to look like Amazon. And what they're saying to me is, I want a good quality looking site. Well, guess what? Apple goes to great lengths to make sure their products are, photographed in a professional way.
Sure.
And Amazon does the same thing. I mean, they don't put junk images up on their site. And that's one of the things that's attractive about those sites, is the quality imagery.
So what's the first thing that people see when they go to a website? It's not some text that's there.
Right.
It's video or a great photograph. And if it's a product that you're dealing with, you want to make sure that it looks the best it possibly can.
Yeah.
Or if it's a service, or Alicia, you were talking the other day about, in dealings with restaurants, how important it is that they have good imagery on their Facebook page as well as their website, as far as the actual food that they serve.
Yeah, I definitely, with a lot of businesses, and especially restaurants, just stock images are not going to work. And then when you have someone who is in there with an iPhone just taking pictures,
bane of my existence.
Yeah, it's not really how you want to come across on social media when you're trying to get, or your website when you're trying to get people to dine at your establishment. And so Bill, actually, that's a great question. Like, how often should a business do like a refresher photography session if they have constantly changing products or food? Like restaurants are great because they're always changing their menus. So how do you deal with that?
Well, that's a great question, and it really depends on the business model. I mean, obviously, in a restaurant setting, it's going to be much more frequent because if they're changing the menu consistently, you're going to have good quality photos of the menu. Or if they're updating the decor in their building, you want to have that out there for your Facebook page. You want to update it onto your website. That's all part of your branding. And if you're not looking at it from a standpoint of this is my brand, it's real easy to go the route of grabbing a cell phone and saying, let me just snap a couple of pictures of,
Right.
This and or that, and it just doesn't give you the quality.
I mean, a lot of restaurant owners will go spend a lot of money to have an interior designer come in and redo their restaurant. So why wouldn't you invest in professional photography to make that part of your brand? Like you said, you want people to see that when they come to the website. They want to know what kind of ambiance are they going to experience when they come to that restaurant.
Yeah, ambiance is a good word. I'm the same way. If you're trying to go on a date or find somewhere to bring your parents for dinner, and you want to see if it's a family place or more of a romantic setting with Valentine's Day coming up, that's appropriate. And you want to see what the atmosphere is, so that's important. If you're not getting the proper images and photos on your website and social media, you're not going to draw in the right type of client or new client at all.
Now, don't get me wrong. There is a place for iPhone photography. Some restaurants have done a really good job with their Instagram and on their Facebook to have customers who are there taking photos of their stuff. Don't get me wrong. That's a great part of any marketing campaign.
But that's a whole different level of marketing.
Yeah.
That people expect on social media to see iPhone photography or iPhone videos. I mean, that's just the nature of that platform. But on your, the core of your digital marketing, which is your website, I think you need to step up from that. You need to have professional photography.
Yeah.
Especially, for restaurants, not just the decor, but the food. If you're going to be taking pictures of some of the signature dishes that you serve, you want those to look appetizing. So lighting and composition, and styling is very, very important in regards to
And a
that.
stock photo is not going to help there. It really, you might find something similar, but it's sort of trying to tailor the picture to your brand as opposed to tailoring, the brand to your picture, versus.
I mean, if I guess if you run a hot dog stand on the sidewalk, maybe you can get away with an iPhone photo of a hot dog, but if you're running a restaurant and you want people to know what your dishes look like and what your dining room looks like.
Yeah.
So let's take that a step further here, seeing we're
We're
talking
going to get
about
a bunch of angry letters from hot
yeah,
dog vendors.
probably. You better watch out. Haven Brothers is coming after you. I don't know. Oh, can we say that on the?
I think they just became a sponsor.
They just became a sponsor.
Haven Brothers is a sponsor.
They got. If you're listening, Haven Brothers, we like you. We don't mean anything by it, but
Yep.
I've never had Haven Brothers.
No?
Because I'm not from Rhode Island originally. That's it's a sin. I need to.
Oh, yeah,
I think Haven Brothers is the place that everybody goes after hanging out at the bars down there.
We may have to have a whole podcast just on places you should go if you want to be a Rhode Islander.
Oh man.
You might be a Rhode Islander.
You already
if.
missed out on Rocky Point.
So anyway, what I was the question I was going to get to was,
right.
so I know my feelings on stock photography as far as how it works with branding and social media and whatnot. But I'm curious to hear what the two of you have to say about the use of stock photography versus custom photography.
Oh, that's a good question. I think it has its place on like a background. Like it's not a focal point of your marketing. Like you just need to fill in a blank real quick. And service industries have a lot of trouble coming up with photography. So maybe stock there once in a while. But I just really, with most of my clients, I really encourage them to use their own photos because I'm not going to name any of my clients, but I do have one client that didn't want to do any photos. He's camera shy. You probably get that a lot, Bill, from clients.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I understand that. It's like anything else. You got to try to figure out how to get past that if you want to get your branding to work
But
properly.
he's a really well-known mechanic in auto shop. And so we use some stock images in a social media ad. And someone actually commented on the ad saying, hey, I don't recognize these people. So, we had fun with it and we just said, oh, they're the interns. But
Yeah, I mean,
people pick up on that. They know you as a business owner. They know your team and they want to see pictures of you. And when we do, honestly, on social media, when we do put headshots of the business owner, whether it's an attorney or a hairdresser, when we use actual faces on Facebook, go figure, they get better responses. People respond.
well, that's something that is a really important point. Headshots, pictures of people that actually are working for your business are a great part of your branding because they put a human face on the business. It's so easy to get so caught up in, well, nobody's going to notice if I put this picture of...
Most people are savvy enough to be able to distinguish a stock photo from the photo of an actual person, who might work in a restaurant or a mechanic shop. Now there are, there's different levels of stock photography. And I've
Sure.
seen some horrible examples of cheap or free stock photography that's not going to do anyone any good in regards to their marketing. But there is some quality stock photography. And I agree with Alicia, you have to take into consideration the context of the business. I was speaking with a potential client the other day. They're a legal firm. And, they're going to have all their headshots for the website, but they also need some marketing imagery to go onto their landing pages. And we talked about, we could come in and we could set up some scenarios with, you talking with clients. But the challenge there is that, there's turnover in a business like that.
Plus, wouldn't you be dealing with confidentiality types? Well, maybe not so much with photography, but with videography, we're doing that.
Right. Yeah. But, even if it was, sort of the clients from behind and do like an over-the-shoulder kind of shot to where you see like they're in some sort of consultation mode, what if that lawyer moves on to another firm? Well, now you can't use that photo anymore, right? So we were talking about the challenges of that kind of specific photography. And, their offices and that, they're really not anything, that would sort of enhance their marketing. I mean, it's a fairly nondescript building. So we're like, well, what can we do? And I said, well, one of the things that you say in your marketing copy is that you're very proud of being a Rhode Island firm and servicing, clients in Rhode Island. So in that regards, I think showing some stock photography of different Rhode Island landmarks, like, downtown and maybe the water fire and Newport Bridge and some other areas, I think would be perfectly fine because it does establish your area, that you service. And, there's a lot of pride that people have in Rhode Island. So I think those kind of things would resonate. And now there's an appropriate use of a stock photo.
Sure.
Well, I have a question. Did you tell them to use the Haven Brothers?
Well,
That's like a staple in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
I was told.
It is.
That's right. That's right up there with Dell's and
Right.
and Newport Creamery used to be the big thing. So yeah, that's a great use of stock imagery. But the other thing you could also do in a case like that most people don't think about is if you have a business that's dealing with a lot of turnover, or not necessarily turnover, but just your constant influx of new employees, it might not be a bad idea to contact a photographer and say, hey, look, this is my situation. They may be able to work a retainer type situation with you, where they can come in on a monthly basis. I know photographers that's what the majority of what they do is that they'll go into the bigger corporations once a month and take new headshots for everybody new that's come through. And then after a certain amount of time, you refresh everybody's, because there's nothing worse than seeing on a LinkedIn or a
Same stuff over and over.
Okay, how many of us, let's ask this question, how many of us have actually seen a photo on LinkedIn and then you see the person in real life and go, you look much older than than I expected, because the stock photo, or the stock photo, there we go. The
Right.
photo is from 20 years ago,
Right.
How many
right.
years can you get out of your headshot?
Yeah.
I think the one that I'm using right now is about 6 years old.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, but
Mine is 3.
I'm letting you off for a little bit on this one. But
I know. We've been talking about doing new headshots, and I promise I will let you take some new headshots. But I mean, I still...
you heard it right here, okay? You heard it here.
I still kind of look like, I do in my headshot. So it's not like... I mean, this is a few years ago, I redid my driver's license. And they'll let you re-up your driver's license a couple of times without changing out the photo. But finally, I'd gotten to the point where, like, I have to get a new photo. And so they took the new photo, and I looked at my old driver's license, and I looked at my new driver's license, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like I look like my own father.
What's the rule of thumb then? Like, if you are using a picture that's more than like 5 years old, if you're wearing like polyester, I mean,
obviously, when it comes to headshots, I
If
said
the photo says Olin Mills on it,
Oh my
you should
gosh.
probably
Oh my gosh, my mom used to make me go there.
yes, for school photos.
I mean,
So yeah,
I'm not even sure where to go with that one, but
worst
no,
days ever.
Alicia makes a great point. You should be looking at your headshots on a regular basis to see if they're dated, because fads happen. I try to tell people when they're doing a headshot, try not to use something that's a fad for that time you're in, because if you want it to last 3, 4, 5 years, you don't want it to be, what's the latest fad nowadays? I am not a fashionator.
One of the things
but
you had mentioned in the webinar was, they had the traditional headshot, and then you had the environmental one where, the background has something to do with the industry you're in. And then you had like the kind of the fun one. Now, if somebody decides they want to do a fun profile shot or headshot, how do you advise them on, well, you may want to refresh this in however many years? Is that... Can you still get away with a fun one the same way you would with a more traditional
No,
one?
I think the non-traditional ones, you're going to update on a little bit more frequent basis, just for that very reason, because things get dated a little bit quicker.
Okay.
Even with some of the environmental ones, I used a picture of a lady that was standing in front of a plane. Well, if she was I don't want to say stewardess anymore, because it's not stewardess, it's a
Flight attendant.
Flight attendant,
Right.
Thank you. If it was a flight attendant, the uniforms changed. The graphics on the plane may change. So those are the type of things you need to take into account when you're dealing with anything but a traditional photo.
I think my favorite example that you ever showed me, though, was someone, took one of these sort of non-traditional headshots. And they were a tennis player, right? So they had the tennis outfit on, and they had the tennis racket. The cover was still on the racket in the photo.
You know,
they're playing
And it was an action shot,
They were standing, they were standing in front of the net like they're getting ready to return a serve. And I said, Justin, look at this. The head cover's still on the racket. It's a little hard to hit a tennis ball.
That's a whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might want to rethink their photographer for that one, but hey, what do I know?
There's so many marketing topics. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could find enough to keep us busy for another year as far as topics. Our goal at this point, and it's subject to change because obviously things are kind of fluid at the moment, but our goal is to at least get 2 podcasts a month out, and enough material and things get moving faster, may go more frequently. Otherwise,
Get a couple of sponsors.
yeah, you hear that out there? If anybody of you are sponsors, give me a call, But anyway, so yeah, I think
Haven Brothers is going to sponsor us, I thought.
Oh, absolutely, right.
well, we
Right
did
after
say
they
some
tell us they
derogatory
don't
things
serve
about hot
hot dogs.
dogs.
Do they even have a website? Like, can we
Haven
see-
Brothers?
Yeah.
I've never looked to see if they have a website.
I'm going to look it up.
They
But-
might, I don't know.
I mean, they are the original food truck.
Crazy, huh?
They
Yeah.
have some type of website. All right. Haven Brothers.
All right, so anyway, let's wrap this up because we're coming up on
Lunchtime.
lunchtime. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
it.
agree,
Where we're at,
lunchtime.
it's lunchtime. But yeah, so anyway, let's wrap this up. Reminder to, again, one last time, like our page,
Right.
follow our page.
And that's Marketing Essentials Team on Facebook.
Connect with us personally, too.
Yeah, absolutely. You can connect with us personally. Matter of fact, at the end of the show, I will put our specific information so that if people want to contact us individually or contact us through the Marketing Essentials Team website, they'll know how to go ahead and do that. And if you want to check out some of the work that myself, Alicia, or Justin do on a regular basis, I'll also have our website set up there, so that way people can go and check that out.
Yeah, we'll post that on the Facebook page and stuff, too. So.
Sure.
All right.
Other than that, I think we're ready to call it quits for this one. What do you think?
Okay, yeah. I
Hungry.
think we're good.
Really hungry.
Yeah,
All
Alicia's
right.
about ready to eat the microphone.
I don't even know where to go with that one, but anyway, we're going to go to Haven Brothers. So we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.